Would you ever pick a white service cart? We've got the U.S. General 5-drawer mechanics cart. This is supposed to be the Series 2. The model number is the 56429, and we've got it in all white. Now, whoever picked that, I don't know. Actually, we did. We've got something special lined up for this, but what we're going to do, we're going to pick this thing apart. We're going to put it together, and while we're doing that, we're going to use our metal gauge, and we're really going to dig in and see how well this thing is constructed. Now, we know the word on the street is that these U.S. General boxes are built pretty tough. Actually, we know that. We actually reviewed one of the larger boxes not too long ago, and it is built pretty stout. But we have not reviewed the 5-drawer service cart, mechanic cart, whatever you want to call this, with the tray on the bottom. And we've also got the side tray as well. So let's dig in and get started. By the way, stick around till the end. We've got a great tip for you. And it's not just for the U.S. General toolbox. Packaged very well, by the way. These look like all the corners and legs. I like that foam protecting the top. Now what you can see right here is actually the bottom tray because it's wider than this internal part. It's about the same size as this upper part up here. So that's what this is sitting in, protected with cardboard as well. So let's get this box out and then we'll get the tray out. As I mentioned, this is the bottom tray, and the bottom tray came with the foam already in the bottom. We'll do some stuff with that here in a few moments after we get this together. But anyway, that's for another time. But I did want to check the gauge metal of this. Now, obviously, this has been powder coated, so that's going to have a few mils of thickness there. But just wanted to check this. I'm going to bend this out. And so that fits there, but that's probably because of powder coating. So I would say that one right there. So 16 gauge. Looks like 16 gauge metal. Not bad at all. And obviously the seams are not welded here. Not a big deal because our side corners are going to bolt on right here. So I'm not really too concerned about that. We're not putting a ton of weight on this anyway. So for the type of cart it is, it does not faze me at all that our corners are not welded or seamed. I do like the fact that we do have rolled edges over here. So it is bent over and doubled over. So it's not a sharp seam there at all. So any edges that you do touch have a nice rolled finished edge to them. So our corners and i.e. legs here, let's check this here as well. So that fits, but again, probably powder coating that's taking up a little bit of space there. So I would say that's probably 16 gauge as well. Maybe that could be 14 gauge. 14 gauge is not going on there. So that could be 14 gauge on the legs. These additional pieces here, probably the same. Yeah, so it's not fitting on the 14 either. Again, due to the powder coating, so that could be 14 gauge metal. I believe we might have 14 gauge on these legs and 16 gauge on the tray. And as you know, with metal, the smaller the number, the thicker the size. So 24 gauge is really thin and 16 gauge is much thicker, and 10 gauge is basically a little bigger than 1/8 inch. So you see it as we're opening this up and taking it apart. We really haven't been into it. We did open the lid, but since there's no pneumatics on it yet, it's not staying up. Now, our understanding was this was supposed to be the Series 2. We don't see the Series 2 moniker on it. I guess that's not a huge deal. I'm not sure what was different on the Series 2. but the model number lines up with Series 2. But again, in the pictures on the website, it shows Series 2 here, Series 2 there, and we don't see that here. But anyway, we're going to roll forward. Drawers seem to be locked, but over here on the right-hand side, you slide a lock over, and that will unlock. So we have a little lock, and a lock over here. So you can see right here, it's sticking down a little bit. Open this up, it sticks out right there. Keeps things locked, even though if the tumbler is unlocked, it still is not just going to fly open. You can slide that over. I'm sure you can pull those out if you don't like that, but they're on all the drawers. Now up here in the top is just the keys, the foam mat for the top, and the pneumatic cylinders, the gas cylinders, and it looks like the instructions as well. And I imagine in the drawers here is where we'll find most of the stuff. That's probably the casters. Yeah, heavy box. Side tray. Additional corner mounts of some sort. Handle. Again, we're going to do something with these foam liners. Nothing in that one. Nothing there. You see all these foam liners everywhere. All right, let's take a look and see what we get inside the box here. 2 stationary casters, 2 swivel casters, nuts and bolts, some thick plywood, make you a skateboard out of. Measurement on these casters, yeah, full 5-inch roller rubber casters, bearings. Lockable. Looks like 2 of them are lockable. The swivel casters are lockable. So the lock locks the wheels, does not lock the rotation. So they still swivel even when they are locked. It does have a nice solid lock on them. So let's get our hardware laid out here. A couple of magnetic trays. We don't have to go digging through bags. These are all nylock nuts and washers. It looks like we have some longer bolts, carriage bolts, and looks like we have some shorter ones here with non-nylock nuts. So be sure you're putting the right nuts and bolts in the right locations. Now, the instructions say to start with the casters, putting them on. I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to do the stanchions or the legs or the corners, whatever you want to call these, and put those on first. And just so you know, this hole is not in the middle here, and so the longer run is going to go to the top. So this is the part that houses the toolbox. This is the part that will go to the tray. So the closer to the hole, this is going to go towards the bottom. And basically that's going to be your side bracing where the box is going to sit. Okay, we've got all the different families separated here, so we know the short ones here, the long ones here, our nylocks here, our regular nuts here, and here are our washers, and we'll get started. These seem to be all 1/2-inch or 13mm nuts. Got a little palm impact driver and a 13mm wrench. I may need a socket or a ratchet and a socket, but I don't believe so. So these get the shorter ones. And I would recommend you starting all of these before you go to tightening. These do not get washers. See the back side of the knurling here on the nuts that will bite into the surface. I'm just going to snug all these right now. Now you just want to make sure that all 4 legs have this hole at the same level all the way around, and it needs to be lower than the middle because, again, the toolbox is going to take the upper half or majority of the upper side of this. I've still got these just finger tight. Not going to tighten those until we get them bolted on the toolbox, and then we'll snug everything up at once. Now we want to add our front, back, and side supports. Now the side supports look like this, and obviously they're shorter. The front and the back are the same, so they could be used either way. So we're going to add those. They're going to bolt to these holes here. And at some point you're going to have to deem which is the front, which is the back, which I'll show you here in just one moment. Using the same shorter bolts and the nuts with no washers with the knurling on the back. Same shorter bolts and nuts for the side supports. And these side supports are going to tuck up under the lip of the front and the back supports. Now, whatever side you're going to have the handle and the swivel casters, you'll also want to mount the tray. So actually what we're going to do is take these 2 bolts out, and it's going to actually go through the tray and then through the leg and through the side support. Again, everything's still finger tight. All right, just to get them out of the way and to get some more of the nuts and bolts out of the way, we're going to go ahead and put these casters on. As we mentioned, we want the swivel casters with the handle and with the tray side. And these are going to go from inside out. And make sure you put them on the right way. Sometimes this powder coating doesn't want to let these bolts actually sink the square back side into those holes. In fact, they can just be a pain. And then your rear casters are stationary, and they need to be in such a way that you're going to pull it to and fro this way. So they can really only go the one way, so you shouldn't be able to mess this up. Now this is a great place to point out as well. So not only do we have the 16 gauge metal build, but we also have double construction here, reinforcing all the way across on both sides of the caster. So the stationary casters and the swivel casters, again, get that double reinforcement of that 16 gauge steel. And even it's also broke here, meaning it's been at a 90, that's giving it more rigidity. Now again, everything's just kind of hand tight except for the casters. We got those nice and tight. We're going to flip ours over because we want the tray and the handle on the left side facing the cabinet. I'm going to use our caster box. Now the best thing would be if you had a little help to do this, make things a lot easier. But there's always a way to do it, even without the help. So now we can take our key, can unlock our barrel lock. Now we can get to these corners here. Now all 4 corners are going to get additional reinforcement braces. I believe these may be thinner metal here, which is not a big deal. Yeah, that's a lot thinner. So that's probably 20 gauge that's powder coated. But again, I don't have a problem with that. This is going to slide in here and just provide additional reinforcement for each corner. Going to use your shorter carriage bolts with the nuts. Again, I highly recommend don't tighten any of these till you get all this complete. What I want to do is I want to actually set this up on its casters before I tighten everything up, because I don't want to tighten everything up it laying down on its back and then it be a little out of kilter. I want it to rest on the casters. That's the way it will be sitting, and then I'll tighten everything up and it shouldn't contort it and move that out of place. Now I started tightening everything up from the bottom up. So again, try to keep everything square. So now all the bottom ones are tight, and I wanted to show you something here. Right in here are little tabs on these cross supports. Make sure that those little tabs that are bent up, that the body of the toolbox is kind of cradled inside of there. Make sure it's not sitting on top of those tabs or off to the side. So make sure again that each one of these on all four corners, that the box is sitting inside that before you tighten everything up. Now let's get these struts on here so it will hold the box up. And these are going to get the nylock nuts with no washers. It's like one strut will hold it up fine, but of course we get a little wobble. And let's put the handle in. Just a couple of Phillips head screws. And now finally we want to tighten all these bolts on the inside of the top of the box. So everything's tight. Up to this point we've got our struts on, so the top is out of the way. You probably want to get you a 1/4-inch drive ratchet and socket and a long extension, and get these here in the galley, and then you'll have to get the ones on the side with a wrench. You could probably get these with a wrench too, but much easier with a ratchet and an extension. And I actually forgot to put the handle on. We need to take those lower bolts out on one side. Okay, we've got most everything together. As far as the box is nice and solid. We get places on both sides to hang pry bars, long screwdrivers, you name it here on the sides, large holes, small holes. And some clearance here to clear handles as well. Not really long handles, looks like up to 5 inches to clear underneath the hood for it to close. If you're putting really long handles in here, they are not going to clear, but still a great place to put those screwdrivers and shorter pry bars. We're going to put our foam down here in a few moments. I did want to look at the lid and see what kind of, so yeah, it looks like 16 gauge lid as well. So it looks like 16 gauge throughout, maybe some 14 gauge as well. But again, kind of the theme is seeming to be that 16 gauge steel, which is a very solid built box. Now I would like to see a welded seam here on the corners of the lid. So down here on these corners, I'd love to see those welded, but that's not a big deal. You know, I have a little flex when closing, but if you're grabbing it in the center, it doesn't. The locking casters work really, really well. Easy to get to. Lock it down, and it will still swivel, but it will not roll. So it locks very well, easy to unlock, and now we're free to roll around again. Now, one of the really cool things about the U.S. General boxes, really any toolboxes, is to kind of personalize it. And Harbor Freight's made that easy with U.S. General additional accessories like this folding side tray. And we went ahead and took the 4 bolts out on this side because that's where the tray actually mounts. So there's no drilling that needs to be done. It's ready to go and ready to mount in the existing holes. So we just line up and verify. And they do provide extra hardware, but you don't need it. You can utilize the existing nuts and bolts that were in the toolbox already. When not in use, it just lays down here. Tighten these bolts. So now when you want to use the tray, raise it up. This sits in this lip right here. Raise it back up, let it fall down flat, and there you go. Again, raise it up, put it in the lip, Let me let you in on one of my biggest pet peeves in a toolbox, and that's what you're looking at there. Well, if you haven't spotted it yet, maybe I can let you in on another drawer. So let me open this up. Now let me open this up. And now let me open this up. Now I haven't touched this. This is literally how it came. And if you're catching on here to the theme, I'm sure you know that that's the best one yet. These liners, they like to slide around, especially you put tools in them. That's exactly what they do. You slam them, the wrenches slide back. Next thing you know, you pull them out. All the wrenches are in the back. This is all wrinkled up back there. And then it gets the memory, and so then you can't lay it flat. There is such an easy fix for this. Let's do it. So lay this out nice and flat if you can. If not, that's fine. But lay it in there. Now, we don't have to do this all at one time. Here's what I'm talking about. Get you some spray adhesive. It doesn't have to be Loctite. It can be 3M. It can be Gorilla, whatever. Just some decent spray adhesive. And lay it in here and leave it. Don't pull it all the way out. Just take half of it, fold it over, and we don't have to cover this thing, okay? So fold it halfway, and then it'll cover the good part of your pad, of your liner, and just spray a little bit of it, and then spray a little bit on the bottom of the drawer. That's it. You don't have to cover everything. This doesn't have to be down there forever. Now what you want to do is let that tack up. Spray adhesive doesn't work by putting it together wet. You want it to tack up. You want it to dry. The drier it gets, the better it's going to do. But you don't have to let it completely dry. Let it sit there for 20, 30 seconds, especially here in Florida. And then just kind of roll this over. And if it's got wrinkles in it, you may have to be careful. And then just kind of rub it out. And then take this half, fold it over here. Again, we don't have to cover a ton. That's good. And now that's never going to do that again. We don't have to worry about that sliding around. That's down enough where it's not going to slide. Yes, I could grab it in the corner. I could peel this up, but it's not going to happen that way. You're going to use friction usually to kind of slide, and now we don't have to worry about that. It's not going to grab from the middle and slide around anymore. Same thing here. Get it laid in there where it needs to go, halfway back. A little glue. Once it tacks up, rub it down a bit. Now that liner is never going to slide around. Do one more. Here we go. This is one that's already gotten a little memory there from being wrinkled up for too long. Again, the key is to just do half at a time. So if you don't rub it down really good, you'll have a little opportunity to kind of fix it if you need to. And I'm not going to be super critical here. And by the way, as we talked about these latches here on the side, if you want to remove those, very easy to do so. There's a single rivet on the other side here. You can drill that rivet out, take out this whole mechanism, and then it will just open and close as you please. You don't have to have the locks in there. And also, in case you don't know, almost any toolbox drawer is removable. There's a tab here that you push down, and on the opposite side, it usually works the opposite way. So you'll pull up on the other side, pull down here, slide your drawer out, and then you've got your drawer. Put it back in, you just line up the slides, and slide it back into place. And we might as well get some measurements while we're here. So overall width on the inside of the box is 29 3/4. Should be 19 inches deep, almost 19 inches deep. And height of this box, lid open, is 41 1/8. Lid closed, total clearance, you're looking at 41 1/4. And then width with the handle, you're looking at right at 34 1/2 inches. And the depth of the lid is 21 inches with the handle 22 inches. So the handle is going to add another inch as far as depth goes. Now these drawers, they should all have the same depth. So depth on these internally is going to be 16 3/4, a little more than 16 3/4. And on these half drawers, about 11 1/4 wide. And this deep drawer is 4 1/4 tall. Now on the full drawer, you're looking at just over 2 feet, so 24 1/4 inches. And again, we're going to have that 16 3/4 inches deep. Same here, 16 3/4 deep and 24 1/4 wide, and about 4 1/2 inches. And these are going to be 11 1/4. Again, that same 16 3/4. And these, as far as depth goes, about 1 3/4. I guess probably clearance is a 2-inch clearance. We think the U.S. General cart really speaks for itself. At just $269, it's really hard to find something that competes with it, that's as sturdy, that offers the options and the different color formats for that same price. Also, you get a 5-year warranty with this on the U.S. General products. You can find it at every Harbor Freight store in the country, which there's a lot of. I'm not sure exactly how many. But anyway, so for a box at $270, which that's the price right now, I think normal price is somewhere right at the $300 range. Still a very good bargain for this type of box. We like that it's very sturdy. We also like that it comes in various colors. Also, you can outfit it as you want to, whether you're making and fabricating things for it or you're buying the different accessories for it from the store. It's a great product. Check it out for yourself. And by the way, we've got something special for this cart, so we'll have another video coming out soon. Be sure to check it out. Hey, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But let us know in the comments why. Have a great day and keep smiling.